welcome to the Glow podcast. I am here today with a very exciting guest. I have Lisa from NY Nutrition Group, and I'm super excited to talk to her. But before we get started, if you are new here, we are Tailored Marketing. We partner with organizations in health, wellness, and longevity space to fuel growth through strategic marketing and sales strategies. So if you are interested, drop a comment below. Lisa, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited to have you here. If you would, I would love if you would just go ahead and give a little bit of an introduction to who you are so the listeners know.
Sure. Thank you for having me as well. And I'm excited to be here to share more about what I do and what I'm about and my practice. So I am a registered dietitian. I've been in private practice for close to 15 years now. So it's had a little bit of different experiences, but mostly settled into private practice where I believe I thrive in that one-on-one setting. And then it also allows me to get creative with content online and giving corporate presentations. And so keeps it exciting and interesting, but really gets into the most rewarding part about what I do, which is really helping people feel better from the inside out. So it's not just about losing weight. I actually do more of relationship with food. I even call myself a food therapist because a lot of what I do is so rooted in psychology. It's more than people realize. And my private practice is called NY Nutrition Group, but we also do telehealth throughout the country. And we do have locations in New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut. And we are around 25 dietitians plus one nurse practitioner plus one licensed clinical social worker, so that we can give people the most well-rounded, balanced treatment plans.
Awesome. That's super cool. And do you all work with like a specific audience, or is it really anyone who, I guess everyone could work on their relationship with food, right?
I mean, look, I think most people who come to us, right, are coming in with some kind of dysfunction, disorder, or confusion, or something along those lines. But I would say we do not discriminate. We work with all ages and populations. I do have dietitians in the practice who more specialize in pediatrics, and I have dietitians who more, are better for women going through menopause. So we kind of have a dietitian for everyone at different stages of life. We have fertility dietitians. We have dietitians who do, geriatric populations, whether it's tube feeding or chronic kidney disease or need specialized diets because they're having dysphagia, which means difficulty swallowing. So we have all of that, which is part of one of the reasons why I worked hard to build up a big practice, is so that we can, accept most patients into the practice and help everyone. I would say my specific niche, as I still am taking clients myself, women in their 20s to 50s, I really find I connect with the most, maybe because that's who I am too, probably. Not rocket science here.
That would make sense.
Where my demographic, but I love helping them because I do find that they tend to struggle more with body image issues, relationship with food stuff, but also really want to learn more about functional nutrition, like hormone balancing, and what could I do to set myself up for when I do go through menopause and I don't want to have to do, or fertility. And I do a lot of fertility work too, whether they're trying to conceive and they have difficulty, or they are pregnant and they want to make sure it's the healthiest outcome. So no matter what it is, that's the population and the range that I really gravitate towards.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. And food is such obviously like an important thing in our lives, like it's something that we partake in every single day, whether we want to or not, Yeah, exactly. And
Can't survive without it.
Yeah, and it's so important because it fuels our bodies, and it's like what we're putting in our body really, really matters. And I thought it was so interesting too how you're like your relationship with food, because it really is a relationship. And I guess for somebody who maybe is struggling with that relationship, what is kind of one of the first steps that you're taking with clients, or you would give advice to somebody to nurture that relationship and make it better with, I guess, that just being the first step, kind of?
That's a great question. And I think you can look at it as any relationship even with people. What is the foundation of any positive, healthy, functional relationship? It's respect, it's trust, it's, a healthy, a recognizing that you don't have to, obviously food we need and we are dependent on, but, a healthy dependency on it where you can rely on food, you can trust food to give you, as you said, fuel and nourishment. And it can work for you and it can offer you so many valuable nutrients that support a healthy mind, body, and gut. And so that's really what it comes down to. Are you looking at food more specifically? These are some red flags and patterns I see. Are you looking at food as good and bad? Are you thinking of it in these dichotomous and binary terms? Because it's not. There is no good and bad food. We have to respect that all foods can fit. Is there a lot of mindless eating? Is there a lot of stress eating? Is there guilt around eating? One of the terms now that is very popular to use is the noise. Is there a lot of chatter and noise and mental gymnastics around eating in the sense of your overthinking or obsessing or the shoulds? I should be eating this. I shouldn't be eating that. If I eat that, then I need to compensate by going on my diet tomorrow or going to the gym. So those are all pretty common thinking patterns, self-limiting thinking patterns, and ways of looking at food that can start to deteriorate your relationship with it to the point where people find themselves disconnected from their body. They find themselves actually struggling more with weight and their health, both mentally and physically, because of that. An unhealthy relationship with food is not just about like the psychology. It could actually start affecting you physically, in many ways. Yep.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. So it's almost just like creating that awareness piece of like, okay,
100%.
how are we thinking about food right now? Like, is this a healthy relationship? Like, is this the kind of relationship I would want to have with a family member or a friend, And like, if not, then how do we kind of start to make those
Yeah.
changes of
If there's a
like,
lot of negativity around it, then that's a huge sign.
yeah. And so I guess like to what capacity then would you say you start to, if you are having these negative thoughts around it, what capacity do you start to have more positive thoughts? And like how do you kind of foster that for people? Because when you get in these certain mindset patterns, as we all know, it can be very, very challenging to get out of them because we're just so conditioned to think this one way.
A lot of it comes down to reframing. We have to
Yeah.
unlearn what we've learned in the past. That is part of why we're here today. We need to learn new ways of thinking about food and how we nourish and feed our body. I sort of break it down into four major stages. I call it, the nutrition rehabilitation program. When
Yeah.
people come to me, and it's the first, are you eating enough? Let's talk about, are you getting enough calories in your body? That's the first and foremost important thing. Because if you're not, if you're chronically under eating or trying to chronically undereat, body or too much rigidity around calories is automatically going to increase the anxiety and the thinking and the obsessive thoughts around it. The
Yeah.
second stage is, are you getting, let's focus in on the macros. Are you getting enough carbs, proteins, and fats, which looks different for each person depending on activity or their goals or medical history. Are you getting enough variety within those core macros? And the final one is where we go into, let's talk about eating enjoyment, satisfaction, hunger and fullness cues, that connection to food, that appreciation for it, and finding enjoyment in it again without any type of guilt or shame or remorse or compensation afterward.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. So it's really just like kind of looking at those patterns and then changing them. And you talked a little bit too about like macros and everything. And obviously, with anyone that you're working with, you're taking like a very individualized approach because that's what everybody's body needs and that's what everybody's body deserves. But
Yeah.
do you have like, I guess, any core kind of principles that you could give just that are like, okay, this is kind of
Yeah.
what we recommend, I guess,
Yeah.
based on just
Yeah.
not individual, but kind of
Yeah,
general?
more generally speaking, 100%. And going back to the relationship with food, it's, teaching the mindfulness skills and really intuitive eating has also gained a lot of popularity and I love certain aspects of it, but I think that it really depends on the person. And for some people, it's too loosey goosey. Like, what am I doing? It just feels like I'm eating whatever I want for whatever reason. And
Yeah.
that's not true food freedom. When we're talking about really feeling that liberation and that freedom around food, it's not just eating whatever you want for whatever reason. It's also having the freedom and the agency to say, you know what? I used to binge eat pasta all the time. Or I used to look at it as this bad food, and the moment I would get it, I would just eat all of it, and then I would feel sick to my stomach after. But when you're truly free around food, you could actually look at food and try it. And sometimes you might even say, you know what? I don't even like that pasta. I'm going to take a few bites. It's not that good anymore, and push it away. Not push it away because it's bad and you shouldn't eat it anymore, but because you're truly saying to yourself, like you're checking in with yourself. That
Yeah.
self checking in is so important and key. And it can feel awkward, unnatural at first, but it's something that you can learn to do better over time. But that checking in will allow you to make better choices. That's what freedom really looks like. It's
Yeah.
about making food choices. It's about going out and all your friends are ordering pizza and you say, you know what, but I was really eyeing that Greek salad, and not ordering the Greek salad because it's the lowest calorie menu option, which, by the way, it might not be, right? It's not
Yeah.
necessarily, but it's saying because that actually is what I want in this moment, and being confident with that and not feeling, are they going to judge me because I'm ordering the salad? Are they going to judge me because I'm ordering the burger when they're all ordering salads? Like,
Yeah.
part of the noise that we really talk about. But if someone were to say, okay, that's all great, but what am I focused on with eating? I tend to really help. I don't know if preach is the right word, but I really believe in the power of eating to balance blood sugar and eating in a way that keeps your digestion running smoothly and even more slowly, like eating foods that break down more slowly
Yeah.
in your digestive tract, because that means it's releasing more steady energy, keeping blood sugar stable, which will help you feel better throughout the day. And it does have an impact not just on what you want to eat and how you feel, but even like your mental health and your mood, that it can even mitigate any emotional eating too. So that to me is really the most important thing. And we can tie that to so many different conditions that it can help and improve, from PCOS, which is very common in, as a diagnosis in 20, 30 something women, especially if they're trying to conceive, for
Yeah.
fertility, for going through menopause, of course, for diabetes and pre-diabetes, for men who want to have more energy and perform better athletically, for other people who just say, you know what, I have a lot of brain fog and fatigue and I want to be able to think more. Like, you could pretty much attach that as a better way to eat for almost any condition that
Yeah.
I just mentioned, plus more. So that's kind of where I go first with my clients, as I teach them how to do that, what that looks like, what are we putting on our plate, what are we thinking about, and that's more of a general guideline.
Yeah, no, I think that that's so cool because, yeah, the intuitive eating, like, it doesn't always register with me either because I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, like, what though? Like, what if somebody just wants cake all the time? Like, it's like
Right.
we shouldn't be
We
eating
all
cake
do.
all the time. But, like, I do feel like also when you start making healthier choices too, you like start craving healthier things and your body almost like speaks to you more once you kind of create that awareness a little bit more. Like once you are aware of like, okay, I'm feeling like a little bit like weak today or whatever, however you're feeling, you're like, okay, maybe I need to eat a little bit more protein or like I'm really craving salmon right now or I'm really craving a
Yeah.
burger. Like I do feel like once you have that awareness, you kind of what your body is telling you become
Hmm.
a little bit more, you hear it better, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, it becomes more clear. Yeah, and focusing on what you can add into your diet as opposed to what to take out is also a great practice.
Yeah, for sure. No, I completely agree. I think that when we frame it that way, just going off of what you were saying, like what we can add rather than taking away, it creates a lot more of a positive experience rather than something that's negative.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah, for
100%.
sure. And so I guess my next question would be like right now, obviously within kind of nutrition and like dieting and everything like that, there's always kind of different trends going on. Like intermittent fasting was huge like a few years ago.
Hmm.
People still talk about it. There's other things as well. Are there any trends that are out there right now that you either just like love or you hate maybe?
I mean, okay, we'll start with the one I love is the high protein trend. I actually think that has a lot of merit to it and a lot of validity. But the only issue with the high protein diet trend is that people are now associating any high protein food as something that will help them, which I'm not saying it won't, but for example, protein popcorn and protein cookies, and it gives us this halo effect. So we think if it was a regular cookie, that's one thing, but then now because it's a high protein cookie, it's actually good for me. While it still is giving you protein, and that is great, and you are getting amino acids that we need, it kind of makes it feel like it's such a, just like a cookie with protein in it. So
Yeah.
emphasizing with the high protein diet, we still want to focus on whole fresh foods, understanding that those types of foods, for example, fish, eggs, organic chicken, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, which is also a trend, but because it has high protein and I know not everybody loves it, everyone's sick of it, you're going to be able to absorb and digest the protein better. There's actually a higher bioavailability of that protein. So our body's going to be able to absorb and utilize it much better than the ultra processed types of protein rich food. So that's what I like. And then of course it's the GLP-1s. And I'm not saying I'm
Yeah.
anti GLP-1. I am not. And I have tons of clients taking it or contemplating taking it. But I do think it has its ups, highs, and lows, and its pros and cons. And of course, the pros being that it has helped a lot of people manage their health and their weight and feel better and have less noise. But on the other hand, because it's so rampant and it accessible, there's a lot of people that feel almost bad for not taking it. And they're like, well, all my friends are taking it and I never thought I would need it or want it, or I never thought it was good for me. But now that everybody around me is taking it and losing a lot of weight and I'm sitting here, not losing weight. So if that's what's really been tough for me to witness, because I see it so much every day,
Yeah.
and it is a big trend, and I think it's going to stay a big trend. But those are the biggest things right now.
Yeah, no, I totally understand what you're saying. And yeah, the high protein one is like, yeah, you need protein. Obviously, we all need that. It's one of the macros and it's so important. But there is like, I think I saw the other day, like it was like a protein bar and it like looked like a Pop Tart. And I like started like looking at all
Yeah,
of the ingredients in
I
it
think
and
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I was literally like, what? Like how like it's just the marketing of these
yeah,
things is getting it's too good almost because it's
getting
like
out of hand. Yeah.
yeah, it's like that this could be marketed as something that is healthy
Mm-hmm.
is concerning.
100%. Yep. And that's where we're at with that. Yep. So
Yeah, well,
we'll
and
see. Yeah.
so many people too you don't necessarily always know what to look for, like when you're looking at labels too. So
Yep.
it's like you don't really understand what these words are. There's like 50 different ingredients in it, and you're like, how am I supposed to know
Mm-hmm.
what each individual one of these ingredients are? So buying the whole foods is so much easier because, like, if you're buying broccoli or you're buying chicken or ground beef, like, it's just,
One ingredient. Yeah.
yeah, it's not as hard to try to decipher.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And that doesn't necessarily mean if it has a lot of ingredients that it's bad. But to your point, there is a lot of confusion around it. And that's one of the reasons that people come to see dietitians so they can learn more about how to
Yeah.
understand it and what's important to pay attention to and what do they not have to worry about. So,
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, I would love for you to tell everybody like just a little bit more about kind of what you guys offer and also give the easiest place to find you online as well. And then I will put that link in the show notes
yeah.
for everybody too.
Sounds good. Yeah. So the practice is NY Nutrition Group, and we really focus on personalized planning and patient-centered care. So it's not, we don't have an agenda. We don't have a very firm ideology. It's really just about what is going on with this patient. People come to us and they care about what they care about. And we completely respect and recognize that. So even though someone comes into me and I say, you know what? They would really be good to, not focus on weight loss and focus on the relationship with food more. But if they're coming in and they're so set on losing 10 pounds before their wedding, I'm not going to sit there and argue with them about why they shouldn't. I'm going to understand that that is something they feel will make
Yeah.
them happy. And so I try to meet them where they're at, as all the dietitians do in my practice, so that we can find a way to do it in the healthiest way possible. That's what we're here for. We're here to educate people on, pros and cons of everything that they do, try to give our best suggestions, try to help people feel better in the way that works for them and makes sense for them. And everything is pretty personalized. We do have some functional tests too. We have a nurse practitioner that can order blood work, so we try to incorporate that when it's appropriate. We have hormone testing, we have gut testing, we have metabolic rate testing. So we try to incorporate that when necessary. It's not always necessary.
Yeah.
And then, of course, an LCSW who's there for therapy in case we find that there's a lot of psychological barriers that we make it hard to make changes in their life. We really need to first address the, whether it's trauma or just depression, anxiety that's driving a lot of the health issues and the habits, the unhealthy habits. So that's sort of a glimpse into it.
Yeah.
And that's it. And a dietitian is really there to support and guide. And some people even really respond well to the accountability part of checking in with somebody. And if they say, you know what, I'm going to work on drinking more water, and then you check in again in a week and the dietitian says, how's it going with the water? There's something about that really resonates and helps people make the changes they need to. So
Yeah.
NY Nutrition Group is the practice name and the website. We take most major health insurances, which is a nice bonus. So a lot of times these visits are 100% covered.
That's awesome. That's coming on. Thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Taylor.
Thank you.